kind of scared, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know what a society outside of capitalism looked like.
There's a perception that's been taught that it is a military regime, that the people are being starved, that it's not a safe place.
The things that I heard about Cuba were not positive.
Would you be able to come back out? People don't get together anymore.
None of that could have been further from the truth.
The purpose of taking students to Cuba, the way I prepared it, had three different purposes, objectives that I wanted to test. The first one is, given the fact that now in the world, we really don't have a socialist model in the third world, what would happen if I take a group of students and expose them to a socialist country that is secular on a very different terms than what is secularism in Europe or in the United States? You have a cultural background that is deeply religious, overlaid with this historical Leninist conflict with religion. Given the fact that that's so different, what does the student discover about herself or himself in the context as they return to the United States?
That's good. You can only learn new things through what you already know, right? So it's important.
Students learn something new about themselves and about their context. 9 days in Cuba doesn't make you an expert in Cuba, but it can make you an expert on you. It can really teach something about the way you understand religion, the way you understand in particularly Christianity, and that really changes the dynamics of a student's understanding of his or her own vocation.
It was overwhelmingly hospitable.
I never felt threatened or uncomfortable.
There's an air of excitement. There's an air of people being hungry for more, and they know that the opportunity is right before them.
They've done it. You know, that people really do have the healthcare and the education and the housing.
As little as they had, I really got the feeling that any given person would just give me the shirt right off their back if I needed it.
As Christians, I think for us there's a profound contradiction between socialism and Christianity. Because socialism is perceived to be an atheist social structure, and therefore it is antithetical to Christianity and the values of the church and its faith.
If you were Cuban, what attributes would you name for God? How would you name God?
I had heard that socialists or communists were godless people. And so to actually arrive in Cuba and meet and talk with socialists who are Christians, it was definitely sort of a break in my paradigm.
I felt that the Spirit is certainly moving in Cuba.
The vocation of learning to know who God is not changed by language or culture.
In Cuba, the role of the church is to be a part of society, is to be a piece of that fabric that helps people socially adapt. So for me, the churches seemed way more socially engaged.
I saw it there in a way that I have hoped to see it. Like if I could envision how a church would be affecting their community and helping their community, that was it. And it was a confirmation of so many hopes and dreams that I have for the church I'm currently serving. I think discovering that at a deeper level would just transform that community.
The most important thing, to know the Cuban society, to have a look to what's happening in Cuba.
It's an experience that I could never have in a classroom, actually going and being put into the seminary, be put into the different house churches where we really experience the people, their culture, their beliefs. It's a real academic and spiritual experience.
It exceeded any expectations I had. If there's any time in your life that you have the opportunity to engage other people, come into contact with others and get to know others outside of your own culture or your own religion, and have the opportunity to do that in a safe environment, this kind of experience is where you want to be in order to do that.
We were able to witness so much of Cuban culture. We had amazing speakers, we were able to visit so many amazing churches, and just had these incredible interviews and discussions with people about this very, very different society that we were visiting.
It gave me a tangible way of thinking about how I can move people here from a place of misunderstanding to a place of understanding.
It touched me in ways that brought things that I had come to know and understand in theory. It did it in a way because it was so real and authentic.
For contemporary points, that was very enlightening for me.
Those questions are crucial. So I invite you to think
And
about
it awakened what I thought I believed and understood to help me to see who I really was.
I think that there is something to be said about personal and substantial engagement with intellectuals, with scholarship, with institutions outside of the first world. They themselves and their students are not coming from places of privilege, and so the questions that they ask and the urgency with which they ask them are very different, from our own.
Global theological education is an effort to prepare students for ministry in culturally complex situations, which are the kind of situations we have in the United States today. We do this through cross-cultural immersions. We put students in a different cultural setting so they become aware of cultural difference, they become aware that they have a culture, and they become aware of the kind of feelings that they have coming out of those cultural interactions and why they have those feelings. And as they create that awareness, they become more confident in their ability to work cross-culturally, more confident in their understanding of cross-cultural transactions, and ultimately they bring that confidence and awareness back to the United States and back to their ministry here.
It touched my core and helped me to see a lot of things about myself and about what I believed in my faith and what I believed about God.
I think personally I was going through a time of maybe not burnout in ministry, but just feeling tired, just feeling kind of like, why am I doing this every day? What am I doing this for? What is this truly about? And kind of questioning my own faith. I became aware of how much I needed to be reminded of the power that we have when we come together, the power that we have, or the community that emerges when we come together and engage one another, even on our differences. And I think I had lost some of that prior to this trip.
I feel like collectively we have something now to share.
I kind of realized that there is inside of me this real need for people, all people to be free and all people to have enough. And so it kind of inspired within me this call to action to do something about it that was there before, but now it's something that I feel a lot more strongly. And since I've returned, I've really been investing a lot of time in homeless ministry, as well as with ministry with refugees from different parts of the world that are here in Dallas.
I feel so free, so transformed, so uplifted, so motivated to do the will of God than I felt when I left. That's a feeling that I haven't had in a long time.
Both experiences with the immersion program have helped me to grow as a person, have helped me to grow spiritually, and they have helped me to know that my dream or my understanding of God's mission is not crazy, that it's actually something that can be achieved, it's actually something that can be done. And so those little moments of affirmation and of saying, yes, this can be done, there's no price tag on that. It's amazing.